Today we are going to learn how to set up SSH client on Windows and how to connect to the remote server using SSH and SFTP. For our SSH client, we'll use PuTTY, and to generate SSH keys, PuTTYgen. Then we'll use FileZilla to connect to the server using SFTP. The first thing we need to do is to download all three software packages. The first one was PuTTY, so if we just type PuTTY SSH in Google, that is going to give us this link to chark.greenend.org.uk. If we click on this one, then click on the download button, and we need this PuTTY and then PuTTYgen. So if we click on this PuTTY.exe and then PuTTYgen.exe as well, we need both of these. Then we are looking for FileZilla, and let's quickly get FileZilla from the website, which is filezilla-project.org, and we want to download the client, so click on this one and then again, and that's going to download the file to our downloads folder. Okay, if we go to the downloads, there we go. So all three files are here. We're going to start with this PuTTYgen because we need to generate SSH keys first. So double click that one, and we want to allow it to run. And to generate the keys, we are going to click on generate, and then you have to move mouse here in this field to generate some randomness, as it says right above. Okay, and that's generated the keys. You can provide a key phrase if you would like to. I'm going to leave it off. What I want to do now is to save the public and the private key. So I'm going to click on Save Public, and I'm going to save them to my C drive, and then I'm going to create a new directory called SSH. And inside of this directory, I'm going to give this public key a name of public key, and click on Save. Then do exactly the same thing for the private one. So click on private. Yes, we want to save it without the passphrase. Obviously, if you've put it in, you probably won't see it. And for this one, I'm going to put private_key. Save it. And now what we can do next, if you need to install it on the server, because obviously in order for us to be able to connect to the server via SSH and SFTP, we will need to install our public key on the server. If you have direct access, find out how to install it on your server. Otherwise, you can simply copy the key and send it to your to your server administrator and ask him to do it for you. What I'm going to do is show you quickly how you can do it on DigitalOcean. We are going to create a droplet with the SSH key. So let's quickly navigate to DigitalOcean. So I'm now logged into the DigitalOcean account. If we navigate to Settings, and on the left hand side we have Security, which is where we're going to install our SSH keys. Add SSH key button, and now it asks me for the content, which is going to be the SSH key and then the name for this key. So let's quickly navigate to our PuTTY key generator. Right click in this section here, that should select everything. You can now select copy, go back, let's click on this add key again, paste it inside of this box and give it some name. For this specific exercise, I'm just going to put Windows key and click on add SSH key. This has now installed the SSH key, so I'm now able to create a new droplet with this SSH key. So create droplet. And I'm just going to select Ubuntu. Let's select $10 per month, and I want it to be in London. And then I want it to use this Windows key. As you can see, it's selected. And the host name, I'm going to put SSD Tutorials Test, and click Create button. This should create a droplet in just a few seconds. So the droplet has been created. We've got this IP address which we need to copy. So copy. And now we are going to open from within the downloads directory this PuTTY software package. The first thing we're going to do is under the session screen for the host name, we are going to paste this IP address which we've just copied. The port is going to be 22. Then we are going to the connection SSH. We need to make sure that preferred SSH protocol version is 2 only. Then expand it and go to the authentication section, and we need to provide the private key for file for authentication. So if we click on browse, navigate to our SSH directory where we've saved our private and public key, we need to select the private one, click on open, and then we are just going back to the session. Let's save this entire setup, so later on next day, for instance, when you open it, you don't have to retype all this again. Let's just save it and call it, say, SSD tutorials test, and click on save, and now this is all ready here. So then next day when you open the application, you can just select it and click on open, and that's going to open the SSH client. So that's what I'm going to do now as well. So if we click on open, and that tells me that it's not cache. In the registry, you have no warranty that the service is the computer you think it is. The server, service RSA2 key fingerprint is, and so on. If you trust this host, hit yes to add the key to put this cache and carry on connecting. And yes, that's what we want to do. And login as, the default login is going to be a root user. So if we type root and hit return, and it's authenticating our public key. If we wait a few more moments, it should give us the prompt, and there we go. We are connected to our server via the SSH now. So we can just type clear to remove all these messages, and ls, for instance, to see what's in it. There's nothing. We can go navigate to the root, then do ls, and you can see all directories and so on. So this is how we can connect using SSH, obviously, and PuTTY software package. The next thing we're going to look at is how we can actually connect to the same server using SFTP. So let's quickly close this dialog. Yes, we want to close this, terminate the session, and let's start FileZilla. So if we first install it, let's agree, and want to install it for all users, and yes, yes, and yes, and let's just wait for it to install, and there we go, FileZilla installed. Let's start it. And the first thing we're going to do, if I just move it a little bit down, if I just resize this window, there we go. We go to the new connection, new site, and again, we need IP. So I'm just going to copy this again, paste it inside of the host field. Port is going to be 22, and rather than FTP, we are using SFTP. And then rather than logon type anonymous, we're going to select key file, browse for the file again. We're going back to our SSH directory. So C SSH and our private key. Click on open, and user is going to be root. And if we click on connect, and there we go. So we can now see all directories and files on the server as well as on our local machine. And we can obviously drag and drop files across and back from the server to our local machine. So that's everything in this short video. Any questions or comments, please use our comment section.